Here, ladies and gentlemen, are William Powell, Carole Lombard, and Gail Patrick. And I'd like to know, Carole, what's all this talk about you and a farm? I can't quite picture the glamorous Lombard hoeing the potato patch.
Well, in the first place...
Yes, and Fieldsy said something about a smokehouse. You mean every time you want to light a cigarette, you've got to...
But, Gail, you don't understand. Our smoke...
Carol, are you going to have chickens?
Yes.
What kind are you going to raise? Jersey, Holstein, or Guernsey?
Well, whatever best, Father. Probably Holstein chickens.
Oh, splendid. What about some nice Plymouth Rock cows?
Look, I admit I don't know anything about farming, and I don't care what people think. I think it's a swell idea. What's more, I'm studying farming, and I'm taking a correspondence course from the University of California.
Carol, when you write for your next lesson, I wish you'd ask those college professors a question that's been puzzling me for some time.
Don't tell me you're turning farmer, too, Bill.
Oh, no. My question has nothing to do with farming, Gail. What I'd like to know is this. Now, in our play, Godfrey marries Irene.
Yes.
Now, do they or do they not live happily ever after? Does he change her? Does she change him? Or do they both stay as they are and make a go of it?
As the celebrated detective of the Thin Man films, what's your own deduction, Bill?
An absolute zero. I don't know.
Well, there's one way of finding out.
What's that, C.B.?
Make another picture. Let's ask our audience right now to drop a line to the Lux Radio Theater telling us whether they'd like to see more of Godfrey and Irene as Mr. and Mrs. Godfrey. If the answer's yes, I feel pretty certain that those letters will help bring another Godfrey film to the screen.
A grand idea, Mr. DeMille, and I hope you get lots of letters. And good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Carol. Good night, Gail. Good night, Gail.
People gave us a delightful evening in the Lux Radio Theater. And here they are, Carole Lombard and Bob Hope.
Oh, thank you, C.B. And Carol, would you mind giving me an autographed picture to take home? I want to prove to the gang in my program that I really was in the play with you.
Oh, glad to, Bob. How do you want it inscribed?
Oh, just something simple, like to the finest actor in Hollywood.
Oh, I thought it was for you. Do you really think you're Hollywood's greatest actor, Bob?
Well, I'd rather not answer that, Mrs. Gable. Say, that reminds me... That reminds me about the road to Zanzibar.
What reminds you?
Oh, anything at all, C.B. I've got a great idea. Would you like to hear some of the best parts of the road to Zanzibar?
But, Bob, I've seen the picture.
Well, then, would you care to reminisce?
Bob, I haven't seen the road to Zanzibar yet. Tell me, how is it?
How is the road to Zanzibar?
Yes.
You know, I've always dreamed about moments like this. Well, I really had a swell time here, C.B., and I'd like to have both you and Carol come over to my program and try the Pepsi.
Remember what I told you, Bob. This is the Lux Radio Theater.
Oh, but couldn't I just say...
But while you two are playing tag, I'd like to say just a word about Lux Soap. I've used it for years, and I think it's grand. It's such a gentle complexion care and really a wonderful help in keeping skin smooth. Now, I may have told your audience this before, Mr. DeMille, but I haven't changed my mind one bit about Lux Soap.
And you never will, Carol. Lux Soap keeps its friends for life.
Well, now, before you tell us about next week's show, C.B., couldn't I get in one quick mention of Pepsi?
Now, Bob.
C.B., my sponsor's listening.
Well, what about it?
Well, if I don't mention the product, he starts playing yo-yo with my option. So all I'm asking is just to say Pepsi.
Yes, Bob, yes, I understand. And next week in the Lux Radio Theater, we go Western. With a current screen success and the original stars of the picture, Loretta Young, Robert Preston, and Edward Arnold. The play is The Lady from Cheyenne. It's adapted from Frank Lloyd's Universal production. A rousing story of the Wyoming frontier in the days before women could vote, and how a beautiful school teacher outwits the whole state legislature to win the ladies the right to vote.
You can count me in on the audience with a cast like that, Mr. DeMille. Good night.
Good night, Carol. Your performance was really wonderful.
Oh, C.B., aren't you forgetting somebody?
Well, if I am, Bob, I'm just being kind.
Oh, wait a minute, C.B. I appeal to the women listeners. I leave it to Carol. Don't I, Carol, appeal to the women listeners? Well, I appeal to the men listeners, don't I, C.B.? Well, there are 16 million kids in this country. Good night.
The affairs of the Warrens and Julie Eden being duly settled, our three stars, Cary Grant, Carole Lombard, and Kay Francis, return for a curtain call.
And if I were you, C.B., I'd keep my eye on that curtain, or Kay will be carting it off to the Red Cross to cut up for clothing.
I was telling Carol about some of our sewing sessions at the Red Cross. But don't bother about the curtain. I've been looking it over, and We can't use it.
Well, I don't like to butt in with my slight prittle-prattle, but I sew a pretty fine seam, Kay. Can you use me?
Well, Carrie, I don't know. Our sewing organization up to now has been strictly feminine.
Sounds like a modern version of an old-fashioned quilting bee.
Well, I think there's probably less talk and more work done at that quilting bee. When I was a little girl, my mother took me down to the Red Cross to study for first aid examination. I was terribly impressed with how busy everyone was. In fact, I was so impressed I got busy myself and passed examination.
Oh, you did? Now,
Yes.
Carol, just to see if you did pass, I'm almost inclined to sprain CB's ankle.
All right.
That won't be necessary, Carrie. Just ask Mrs. DeMille. She's on the board of directors of the Los Angeles chapter.
By the way, CB, what are you going to do in the Lux Radio Theater next week?
Next Monday night, Carol, we have John Garfield, Jeffrey Lynn, and the four Lane sisters, Priscilla, Mary, Rosemary, Lola, and Leota. Mm-hmm. And that gives us practically all of the original screencast of our play, Four Daughters, plus one extra Lane sister. Four Daughters is a drama of a typical American family, like several you've known yourself, perhaps, with all the humor and romance that four unmarried daughters give any household.
My goodness, not one, not two, not three, but four Lane sisters. Well, the picture was a sensation with three, but ladies and gentlemen, the Lux Radio Theater will not be outdone. Next week, we guarantee the appearance of four, count them, four Lane sisters, huh?
The fourth Lane sister is a big surprise, Mr. DeMille. Where has she been hiding?
My lips are sealed. But all will be explained next Monday night when we present John Garfield, Jeffrey Lynn, and the four Lane sisters in Four Daughters.
Oh, it's a grand place, CB. I'll be listening. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. We're writing Santa Claus for 3 more stars like you.
Thank you, Oscar Bradley, and thank you, John Conte. And special thanks to Spring Byington, Edward Everett Horton, Carole Lombard, and James Stewart for your swell performances here tonight.
Well, thank you very much, and good night, George.
Good night, Eddie.
Good night, George.
Good night, Spring.
Good on. So long, too, George. It was a lot of fun. You know, George, I wish I could look like one of those arrow-collared fellas, you know, but my clothes just don't seem to hang right on me, you know?
Oh, you're just self-conscious, Jimmy.
No, not at all. Now, look at this. Now, that's a good piece of material. I feel it. It's okay. But there's just something wrong with it, you know?
Oh, you don't like it, huh?
No.
Well, you know, Jimmy, I think I can fix it for you.
Oh, no, you don't. Oh, wait a minute.
Come back here. I won't do anything.
Oh, no, I'm not taking any chances. Come on, so long, George.
So long, Jimmy. Now, there you are, Carol. To see what you've done, you scared Jimmy away.
Well, George, as I was saying...
Oh, no, you don't. No, I like my suit fine. It's wonderful. It's paid for, free and clear, no liens. There's nothing wrong with it. I like it. See?
No, George, what I really wanted to say was that you've been a grand host.
Oh, thank you, Carol.
And speaking for the rest of the cast, we've loved working just as much as we've enjoyed listening to your Sunday evenings to our friends and other Screen Guild shows.
Thank you, Carol, and it was swell of you to be here. Grand show.
Again is today's star, Carole Lombard. Carol, you certainly packed lots of fun and excitement into half an hour.
Oh, it's always fun on Silver Theater, Conrad. I feel almost as much at home here as I do in my own house.
You know, the last time you were here, you were just redecorating your house. It all completed?
Oh, no. Remember the old saying, Conrad, a woman's work is never done. But seriously, I think the house looks grand. Come over and see it. See our 1847 Rogers Brothers silver plate, too. It's really perfect.
I'll be there, Carol. You must come back and visit us here in Silver Theater soon, will you?
Thank you, I will. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Carol. Thanks again for a grand show.
It's always refreshing to have Carole Lombard and Fred McMurray in the Lux Radio Theater. And we salute them for another sincere performance as they return to the microphone now.
Well, playing an average American like Johnny Mason comes pretty easy to me, CB. You see, I'm from Wisconsin. How do you feel about it, Carol?
Well, I was born in Indiana. Doesn't that speak for itself?
It's a nice enough place, I guess. Of course, the most typical Americans come from Wisconsin.
Could I get in this Chamber of Commerce convention long enough to put in a vote for North Carolina, sir?
All right, I'll admit both Indiana and North Carolina.
I guess a typical American is pretty much the same anywhere. If his wife comes home in a funny hat, he worries until he sees another one just like it.
Or if he's driving somewhere in an automobile, he won't stop and ask directions until he's good and lost.
That's when Mrs. America says, "Are you sure you took the right turn back there, dear?"
Yes, but seriously, Mr. DeMille, I like this kind of play because the people in it are so real. They represent the best things in America. They give us sort of a collective national sanity when we need it most.
The people who make democracy work. May their shadows never grow less.
That's what we all hope. What play are you doing next week, CB?
Well, Fred?
Before we go on to next week, there's something I'd like to say about the product behind this program. It's just this. I've used Lux Soap myself as a complexion care for a good many years. And you can count me as one of your most satisfied Lux customers.
And we'll count you as one of our most charming, Carol. Next Monday night, the Lux Radio Theater presents that versatile star of radio, stage, and screen, Rudy Valley. With Rudy, we'll have the lovely Virginia Bruce. And our play will be Swing High, Swing Low, adapted from the Paramount screen hit. It's the story of a singing entertainer and the girl whose love and loyalty helped him to fame. Rudy Valley, Virginia Bruce, Una Merkel, and Roscoe Carnes give us the ingredients of a sparkling evening Monday next.
That sounds like standing room only at the loudspeaker. Good night, CB.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night. That was an all-American. Once more, the spotlight turns to Carole Lombard and Jimmy Stewart as they come back to this microphone.
Thank you, Mr. DeMille. You know, the thing I like about this Lux Radio Theater is the way everything runs so perfectly. There's never a miss anywhere.
Say, you're not going to play the accordion now, are you, Jimmy?
Oh, no, I didn't bring it tonight. I should have been applause there. Now, this is no place for my accordion. Why, even the boys and girls that collect autographs at the door won't take just anything. For instance, there was that girl who stopped me on the way in tonight.
You surely didn't disappoint her, Jimmy.
Oh, no, I signed, and then I asked her what she was going to do with it, and she said, well, if I can get Carole Lombard when the show's over, why, I know where I can trade both of you for Clark Gable.
I'll have to speak to her. She can't make a bad bargain like that.
Oh, now be polite, Carol. I might have to take back my autograph.
But seriously, Mr. DeMille, I have enjoyed very much coming back to Lux Radio Theater. Well, in the past few months, I think you've really taken on a new assignment here. All entertainment is a premium now, and anything that lifts us out of the everyday routine for an hour or so is what we need at a time like this. America must be strong, and we must keep it free by making it stronger still. While we're all working toward that end, to the limit of our strength, we need the emotional outlet that a theater like this provides.
Let me show you a little of our mail sometime, Carol, and you'll understand why we think of this